Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the greatest show in the history of the planet with the fewest watch hours of any show in the history of YouTube. Now, we don't get a lot of views and we don't get a lot of watch time and we don't get a lot of uh, subscribers, but we still are the greatest show in podcast history, bar none. And I just can't get enough of these damn side effects. The tissues back there, they're for the Ravens' woes this season, and they have been plenty. But I digress. And I'm not going to use a joke on digression. Okay, let's check the NFL news. This is an NFL episode, and we're going to look at NFL news. So, the big news: the Broncos head coach Sean Payton made some post game comments last week. I don't know what they were, but I do know that Sean Payton has said today that in no way did he mean to slight Russell Wilson, which translates to he completely meant to slight Russell Wilson. You know it, and I know it. That's the way that guy operates. Always has, always will. All right. We're going to look at some injuries. Also, another guy who talks out of both sides, all three sides of his mouth. Aaron Rodgers said the Packers-Steelers game this week is not a revenge game. Is it? Is it not? I think it is, Aaron. I think it is, but that's all right. Uh, it is what it is, as they say. I always never understood that. That's weird. Okay, now let us go to more NFL news. Lamar. Yes, that's it. We need some drum roll. Lamar has returned to practice this week, and that's not bad. That can't be bad. Can it? No, I don't think it can be. All right, who are the Ravens playing this week? We're going to go look at the games pretty soon. Now, in more examples of too many injuries this year, Jaden Daniels is going to be out for the Commanders in Week 8. But Bryce Young, he's pushing to play. All right, now, let us start with looking at the games this week. Who's going to be good and who's not going to be so good? Who's going to win and who's not going to win? All right. Let's look it over here at the NFL this week, Week 8. And who do we got? Who do we got this week? Let's see. Who do they like? All right. Oh, they got a pretty. Okay, so first, before we go to who do they like, we're going to go to who do we like, and we're going to look at the power rankings that the NFL has put out. Who do they like? Who don't they like? Well, let's see. The last four teams are Jets, Titans, Dolphins, and Saints. And okay, the Dolphins, they put 30th, Saints 29. Let's look down the list. The Browns are 26. The Giants are 25. I thought they were doing better this year. They put the Bengals at 24. That's a little low. The Ravens are at 18. That's actually up. Not sure how that happened. Cowboys are 15th. They're up. Okay, so then you get to the 12 here. San Francisco 12th, Rams 11, Patriots 10, Buccaneers 9, Seahawks 8, Broncos 7, Packers 6, Bills 5, Philadelphia 4, Colts 3, Detroit 2, and Kansas City 1. All right. Kansas City went from 8th to 1. I mean, yeah. they're going to be there at the end. We know. So that's not a dumb list, but let's look at who they got in the top 10. Colts, Broncos, Seahawks, and Buccaneers. Are they going to be in the top 10 when the season's over? I don't think so. You don't think so. None of us think so. Hey, wait a minute. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, now let us look at the games this week. Who's doing what? All right, tomorrow night, the Vikings go to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. The Chargers are 4-3. The Vikings are 3-3. So maybe the Chargers will be tired. I don't know. One more game, huh? All right. The Chargers are favored by 3.5. I'm going to pick the Chargers. I think they'll win by 4. All right. Now, 49ers versus Houston. That's on Sunday. Houston is favored by 1.5. Weird. I'm going to San Francisco. That's weird that Houston's favored. There must be bad injuries. All right. The Bears play the Ravens. Baltimore is favored by 6.5. I guess because Lamar's coming back. Okay. The Bills are at Carolina. The Bills on a road are favored by 7.5. Okay, and the Bears, Ravens, I picked the Ravens. But the points, all right, I'm going to take the points because I think Lamar's going to be out there going crazy. The Bills are at Carolina, and the Bills are favored by 7.5. I'll go with the Bills. The Giants are at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is favored by 7.5. I'm going to take on point. The Giants will cover that. The Browns. New England's favored. Browns at New England. New England's favored by 7. That's probably fair, but I'm going to say that the Browns are going to play it a little closer than that. That's a lot of points. The Jets at Bengals. The Bengals are 6.5. Jets are 0-7. The Bengals are 6.5. Bengals are 3-4. Bengals are 6.5-point favorites at home. I'm going with them. Atlanta's favored by 7.5 over Miami. The Falcons, Miami at Atlanta. Atlanta by 7.5. That's too many. I'm going with Miami. Tampa Bay, 4-point favorites over the Saints on the road in New Orleans. I'm going to go with that. I don't know those teams well. Titans are 14-point underdogs to the Colts in Indianapolis. 2 touchdowns is too many points in today's age. I'll put your money there. That's too many points to bet. I mean, why would the Colts want to run up the score? They are the much better team, but 14 is a lot. Dallas is at Denver. Dallas 3-1 at Denver 5-2. Denver's favored by 3.5. I'm going with the Cowboys. I got a feeling about that game. The Packers are 3-point favorites on the road against the Steelers. In Pittsburgh, I'm going to have to pick Pittsburgh on that one. And the Commanders are 12.5-point favorites. Underdogs on the road at Kansas City. And the Washington is going to be playing with their backup quarterback. Stay away from that game. KC by 12.5. If I had to pick them, I don't know. I'm going to say go with the Commanders on that because 12.5. Well, that's a hard one. I don't know. Kansas City's rolling up points. All right, have to take Kansas City on that with the 12.5, but I'd stay away. All right, that's all the games now. Now we are going to look at the Bears podcast. We're going to see what they're saying today. Okay, let's look it up. No preparation in this show. This is all extemporaneous. All right, Locked On Bears podcast. Let's look at what they're talking about. They are the opponent. 8 hours ago, they put up a podcast. Josh Allen doesn't train like other quarterbacks. We know. All right, we are going to share the screen with this podcast, and we're going to look at this podcast here. All right, so how are the Bears creating so many turnovers? That's a good question.
Quarterbacks. His arm, stronger. His legs, impossible to scheme for. Most quarterbacks run from pressure. He powers through it. Plus up your recovery with Theragun Pro Plus.
The Chicago Bears aren't going to get 4 turnovers in every game, but a lot of the big plays they're making in Dennis Allen's defense are absolutely sustainable from week to week.
All right. That's not the most glowing appreciation of their team I've ever heard, but that's something. Let's see. Keep the comments rolling in. And we really love to get your comments. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. That's great. All right then. Let's watch a little more. Okay. The Bears are turning the ball over. It's sustainable according to this guy. All right. So the Bears are Game of Thrones, huh? Let's go ahead.
News and analysis. You can follow me on Twitter. Lucky and just happen to have the ball fall into your hands without having to try very much, or how much of it is.
Is this supposed to be Chicago back here? Because it doesn't look like Chicago. But maybe it is. I don't know. I haven't been to Chicago in a while. All right. Let's hear some more about this guy. He's pretty smart. Is he? Yeah. We're going to say yes. The Bears are forcing turnovers. The Ravens are turning the ball over.
About the quarterbacks they've faced and everything in between. We'll go through all the different interceptions, and we'll talk about the forced fumbles as well, although I think stretches, but generally turnover is something that has a lot of variation from especially season to season, but even just game to game.
Hey, this guy.
And then not putting the ball where it needs to be. You know, like thrown a little bit behind Justin Jefferson, right? Not enough juice on it. And that's a play where I don't think it fits.
Okay, that's not good. All right, let's go ahead and see what he goes. Some are on quarterback, some are grade D. Okay, he's talking about all the turnovers. All right, he's making some good points. But Lamar's playing this week, does he know?
Interception. If Edmonds reads it, attacks it, and makes a play on it to get the interception there. Whereas the last interception against the Cowboys in the back of the end zone, where once Joe Milton was in the game, it's a little bit garbage time, tries to Turpin. It's like, I think it's a...
Go ahead.
Same thing was true with Kevin Byard's other... Yeah, the outfielder still has to get in the right position to catch it, but it was winnings from that $5 bet, but you're also going to get an extra $300 in these routes by being aggressive. And it's like, well, eventually some team is going to burn you on that, and that thing isn't sustainable. Like, there's so many different ways, whether it's right on a blitz jumping down a pick six against J.J. McCarthy, whether it's the tipped pass that's caught by Tremaine Edmonds, or whether it's cornerbacks being right there on throws that are behind those receivers downfield. Like, they've had a couple of pairs of like a couple of tip passes, a couple of behinds, a couple of nice Kevin Byard plays, but otherwise it's a very diverse portfolio, like investing here, right? Where if you're not reliant on one of these categories of turnovers to continue. So if one stops, you've still got other areas where you are generally getting turnovers. But I think there's a couple other trends with these turnovers that I think are worth noting as we think about how much they can continue to do this moving forward, and when might the turnover luck, quote unquote, start to run out. I think first of all, Worth noting, the Bears are not running nearly as much man coverage as you might think they are.
All right, that helps.
If they're getting interceptions in man coverage, usually
the Ravens tear up
under pressure
this year.
So it's not as though
I know they don't. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I gotta make some good points. The Bears are getting a lot of turnovers. That's cool. Like it. All right. Now let us see what else we got going on. There's some noise in the studio. The studio's been invaded. There's an animal. There's an animal in the studio. This is Baltimore, Holmes. You gotta have a cat in every kind of building structure. You didn't want them pesky critters walking around there, do you? All right, speaking of which, I'm going to give my review of a film called The Baltimoreans. I saw it this week, and I will have to say that it's a sweet movie. And it has a lot of, Baltimore stuff. That's cool. However, there is one scene in the film that you have to see the film. It's sort of a spoiler, where one of the main characters plays a prank on, I guess, who are the protagonists in the film, or the antagonists in the film. And the characters are like very benign antagonists, but also, yeah, Baltimore's got some character in it. But this is something that the prank that the guy pulls is something that a Baltimore person, a Ravens fan especially, would not do. All right, so that's that. Okay, now what more do we see about the Ravens? Ravens news and notes. Because I'm lazy, I do the research live. All right. Let's look at some Ravens news and notes. Lamar's practicing. That's good. Everybody's happy about that. It's really grabbing the headlines. We're playing the Bears this Sunday. Sunday? Yeah. And we are going to maybe win the game. Oh, let's do a quick recap on the AFC North. The Steelers are 4-2. They remain at the top, but their lead is now shrunk to one game with a difficult schedule ahead. This is from the Baltimore Beatdown, which I am harvesting that information, you see, because I have to do this show. We have to get enough time on this show. All right, and so, yeah. The Bengals are 3-4. They're just one game behind. It's Joe Flacco. Oh, my Lord. I always knew Joe would come back somewhere to haunt us, and now he has. So that's good. Everybody loved Joe, right? Joe Flacco, everybody loves Joe. He can't help himself, man. He was a funny guy. He was great. He won us a Super Bowl, right? Right. All right. So let's see who else. What did the Browns do? What did the Browns do? The Browns, they won. They're no longer in last place. They blew out the poor Dolphins. Now you got to feel sorry for the Dolphins. They're a franchise that has suffered way too much. The media there is going nuts. Now, I'd just like to say this in defense of the owner there. Stephen Ross is not Daniel Snyder, and he tried to get Tom Brady a few years back. He got that Fogio or whatever, defensive coordinator, a couple years back. He got Tyreek Hill. That's the biggest free agent acquisition in the last decade from any team. So, he might not have the greatest football sense, but he has somewhat of commitment to winning. right? We think so? Yeah, we think so. All right. As far as the game, what do we think about the game? The Bears are no good. We're no good. Okay, the NFL trade deadline is coming up. And the Ravens badly need edge rushing. So say we all, right? No, I'm just kidding. All right. Who can they get off the street? Nope, nobody. DeMarcus Walker. He's on the street. He's a possibility. He played for the Bears. All right. Arden Kay plays for the Titans, and everyone says he is the most obvious veteran acquisition. I don't know who they're talking to. Not obvious to me, but then I don't know who he was. But no, he sounds good. Other people that it looks like Victor Dimuke for the Giants, and those are two teams that are probably trying to get out of some of these contracts. So I would say those are two avenues worth exploring because, yes, the Ravens have a horrible, horrible pass rush. So I would say that those are possibilities that DaCosta ought to pursue. Let's get some wins here in the second half of the season, getting close to the second. Week 8, not technically the midpoint, but sort of. It's a fast season's flying by, boy. Whew, it's already week 8. Incredible. Seems like it just started 8 weeks ago, right? Okay. All right, everybody. Let me do that joke again this time. The season's been flying past. It's week 8 already. It seems like the season started, no more than 8 weeks ago. The Ravens have had a horrible season, but they still have a chance. And the Ravens will beat the Bears this week in Baltimore. So it won't be that horrible of a week for the Ravens. All right, everybody. Before we go, let's think of how we're going to end this. We end this show as we end every show. F MAGA. F MAGA, and that's another. We'll work on that. Another episode coming up this week where we will talk, football's great and everything, but if you notice, American democracy is pretty much come to a sort of a halt. And that's something we all got to do something about. All right, everybody. Well, more on that to come, right? More on that to come. All right, everybody. We are going to end this broadcast. Just an incredible broadcast in the books. Another one. Once again, tissues for the Raven season. All right, everybody. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. If you don't have friends, make friends. Tell them about this show. Please. We have like the worst data for viewership almost like you couldn't accidentally have lower than we get on this show. And that's unfortunate. All right. Okay, everybody. I was going to show some parts of our own stupid podcast. Let's look at a recent episode by the show to see that, we're not the greatest show, but hey, man, we do some good stuff. Like, watch this, okay, everybody? Watch this. Let's look at a recent episode where I did the York Heritage Trail. Now, there it is. just a walk in and enjoying yourself and having a good time. Let's watch that in full playback speed. We seeing that? We're seeing this? Let's see if we're seeing this. Yeah, man, look at that. Now, going up to Pennsylvania and walking that trail and taking this film, for that, we deserve something. I mean, I think we do. I think we deserve something just for the effort. There's walking along the trail up there in the Heritage Trail. So it's beautiful up there in the fall. It's just gorgeous. And I'm putting it on double speed, huh? And that's awesome, right? Nice. Yeah, nice. Okay. All right, everybody. Look at that. That is awesome. Up in the Heritage Trail. Who has the courage to show you this kind of stuff? What other podcast? I don't think any other does. We will call it a night when we come to the end of this, our very own podcast, so we can't get copyright strike for this. It's coming to an end, and it's going to have a very cool end. Here, let's just go up ahead a little. Not here. Not there. It's coming up. Look at this, everybody. Look how this ends. Spectacular style. Thanks for watching, and wait for it. Yeah, that's our signature. That's right, everybody. All right, everybody. I hope this was in good filming resolution, and I hope everybody has a great night, and I hope we all can say, throw some comments down there. Hit a like. Replay it on a loop so we get good watch hours. No, don't do that. I was just kidding, YouTube, if you're listening, and you're not. All right, everybody. F MAGA, and good night. Have a great night, Wednesday night in Baltimore.